What if I told you that your future self, the version of you who already has everything you dream of, is desperately trying to send you a message right now? And that message is just one thing. If you don't change who you are on the inside, your outer reality will never, ever change. This isn't a motivational quote, it's a law of the universe, an ancient secret known as the mirror principle. Think about it. You spend your whole life fighting to change the reflection. You try to make more money, find a better relationship, have better health. But it's like standing in front of a mirror, not liking what you see and trying to fix the image by wiping the glass. It's a pointless fight. The shocking truth is that your reality is just a mirror. And in this video, I'm going to prove to you that you don't need to fight the reflection. I'm going to give you the key to change the original image that creates it. When you change the image, the mirror has no choice but to follow. Stay with me until the end, because what I'll reveal in the final part of this video will tie everything together in a way that will make you never look at your life the same way again. If you've ever felt like you're fighting a reflection, comment down below, "I am the creator, not the reflection." The man who came to know himself attained the supreme good, but the one who loved the body, born of the illusion of desire, remained lost in darkness. Your financial situation, your relationships, your health, everything you experience as reality is just the image projected onto this cosmic mirror. Trying to change the external world without first changing the source of the projection is like yelling at an echo and expecting it to change the message. It's a battle lost before it even begins, a cycle of effort and disappointment that repeats endlessly. But what if I told you there's a way out of this prison? What if there were a way to stop fighting the reflection and instead become the master of the original image? There is a secret, an ancient wisdom kept under lock and key by masters and sages throughout history. They didn't waste time touching the mirror because they understood the power wasn't in the glass, but in the one looking into it. They didn't react to reality, they deliberately created it. They mastered the art of conscious projection, a skill that allowed them to sculpt reality from within. This art is not a mystical gift reserved for a chosen few. It's a technology of consciousness, a science of the soul that has been forgotten and suppressed over the centuries. The masters of the mirror knew that the universe doesn't respond to our wishes or our words, but to the image we hold of ourselves deep inside. They understood that in order to change the world, they first had to change themselves in a radical and profound way. They didn't try to become something, they simply decided to be. And that decision changed absolutely everything around them, like a stone thrown into a lake that creates ripples in every direction. The first and most crucial step to mastering this ancient art and beginning to sculpt your own reality is not learning a complicated technique or a mysterious ritual. It's something much more fundamental and at the same time more challenging. It's looking within and recognizing the most uncomfortable truth of all: your current identity. The story you tell yourself about who you are, with all your limitations and excuses, is not who you really are. It is your greatest prison. An invisible cage that keeps you stuck in the same place, living the same day, every day. This identity you carry is not you. It's a construction, a set of beliefs, memories, and traumas that have been programmed into your mind since childhood. The great lie society has told us is that we are a product of our circumstances, that our story defines us. The truth, however, is the exact opposite. Our circumstances are a direct product of who we believe we are. If deep in your soul you see yourself as someone who always struggles to pay the bills, the universe, like a loyal servant, has no choice but to bring you more bills to struggle with and more scarcity to confirm that belief. Think about your daily life. You wake up in the morning and your first thoughts are shaped by your current reality. Debts, problems at work, loneliness. This observation of the external world reinforces the image you have of yourself. I'm someone with financial problems. I'm someone who's unlucky in love. This identity, now strengthened, is projected back into the mirror of reality, which in turn creates more circumstances that confirm exactly what you observed when you woke up. It's a perfect vicious cycle, a self-imposed prison that ensures tomorrow is always an exact copy of yesterday. You live inside a loop, an existential hamster wheel running non-stop and never getting anywhere. This prison has no iron bars or concrete walls. Its walls are made of ideas, of stories you accepted as true. Life is hard, money doesn't grow on trees, you have to suffer to be happy. Each of these phrases is a brick in the construction of your cell, and the most ingenious part of this system is that the jailer and the prisoner are the same person. You. You keep yourself locked up without even realizing that the cell door has always been open. The masters of the mirror, however, knew the secret to breaking the chains of this cycle. They refused to let the reality of the present moment define who they were. They didn't look at an empty bank account and feel poor. They didn't look at loneliness and feel unwanted. They did the opposite, a rebellious act against the tyranny of facts. They first decided, with unwavering clarity, the identity of the person they wanted to become, completely ignoring all external evidence that contradicted this new truth. They understood that being comes before having. They didn't wait to have money to feel prosperous. They became the embodiment of prosperity first, and money appeared as a natural result. They didn't wait to find love to feel loved. They became the source of love itself, and relationships flowed into their lives. This reversal of the creation process is the master key that opens the prison door. They were not defined by the reflection in the mirror. They became the force that defined what the mirror would reflect. But how exactly did they do this in practice? How can someone simply decide to become someone else, especially when the surrounding reality screams the opposite? It's not about positive thinking or self-deception. It's about an internal technology, a precise method to rewrite the script of your soul. The answer isn't in a complex formula, but in a single question, a question so powerful that if answered honestly, it has the power to tear down the walls of your prison and begin your true liberation. The million-dollar question. The question that has the power to transform your reality is not what do I want to have or what do I need to do. These questions keep you stuck at the same level of consciousness, focused on the external world and on what you lack. The question that completely changes the game, the million-dollar question, is, who do I need to become so that the life I desire becomes inevitable? Stop for a moment and feel the weight of that question. It doesn't speak about actions or possessions. It speaks about essence. It invites you to project your consciousness into the future and define the qualities of your ideal self. How does this future version of you think when facing a challenge? Do they panic or do they see an opportunity? How do they feel when they wake up in the morning? Anxious or full of purpose? What kind of energy do they radiate to the people around them? An energy of scarcity and fear, or of abundance and confidence? Grab a piece of paper right now and start describing that person. Be specific, give them a name if needed. That person is not a distant dream. They are a blueprint, the blueprint of your new existence, and you are the architect. With that clear vision, the next step is to forge your new identity statement. Not a long, complicated sentence, but something simple, direct, and in the present tense, as if it were already an absolute truth. I am the embodiment of confidence and unshakable calm. I am a magnet for extraordinary opportunities and meaningful connections. I am the expression of unlimited abundance. This statement is not an empty affirmation, it's a decree. It is your new personal constitution, the fundamental law from which your new life will be built. Now comes the crucial party, the point where theory becomes practice and the magic begins to happen. You must begin to live, moment by moment, as if this new identity is already your only truth. It's not about pretending, it's about embodying. Act as that person would act, think as they would think, feel the emotions they would feel. When faced with the decision, ask yourself, what would my highest version do right now? And then do it without hesitation. You are literally rehearsing your future until it becomes your present. This is exactly the point where 99% of people fail miserably. They define the new identity, feel the initial excitement, but the next day, the old reality is still there. The bank account looks the same, the problems persist, the people around them still treat them like their old self. And then the treacherous voice of doubt starts whispering in the back of their mind. This is nonsense, it's not working. Frustration sets in, and they abandon the process, without realizing they were one step away from the breakthrough. They give up because they don't understand a fundamental principle of manifestation. They don't realize that physical reality, the world we can touch and see, has a kind of delay, an inertia. It doesn't transform instantly with the speed of thought. There's a sacred time gap between the shift in your internal projection and its materialization in the mirror of the world. And it's in that gap, in that apparent vacuum, that your true test of faith not only begins, but intensifies with every second. You planted the seed of your new identity in the fertile soil of your consciousness. You watered it with intention and nourished it with aligned actions. But between the moment of planting and the day of harvest, there is a vast and silent territory, the desert of reality. This is the gap of time, the seemingly empty interval where nothing appears to happen. It's here that dreams go to die, because your mind, conditioned to seek instant gratification, starts to panic. The reflection in the mirror still shows the old image, and your faith is tested to the limit. Physical reality, with all its density and matter, has inertia. It can't reorganize overnight to match your new vibration. Think of a massive ocean liner. When the captain turns the wheel, the ship doesn't change course instantly. It takes time to respond to the new command, to overcome the resistance of the water and slowly begin to turn. Your reality works the same way. Your identity shift is the command at the wheel, but the ship of your life needs time to adjust its course in the ocean of the cosmos. Imagine an impatient gardener. He plants a bamboo seed and comes back the next day to see if something has sprouted. Nothing. He returns on the third day, the next week, the next month. and still sees nothing on the surface. Frustrated, he digs up the soil, pulls out the seed, and declares that it doesn't work. What he doesn't know is that for years, the bamboo grows downward, creating a complex and deep root system. Only when that foundation is firmly established does it burst out of the ground, growing dozens of feet in just a few weeks. Your new identity is that bamboo seed. Your only task during the crossing of this desert is not to search for proof or signs that it's working. Your task is to keep being the faithful gardener, to keep watering the seed with the unshakable certainty of who you've chosen to become, especially when the world outside is screaming in unison that nothing has changed. To stay loyal to your inner vision when the external evidence violently contradicts your transformation. This is where the separation between amateurs and masters happens. It's your ability to sustain the feeling of the fulfilled desire before seeing it manifest. Many, however, even with the patience of a monk, still fail. They cross the desert, maintain discipline, but reality stubbornly refuses to change. They feel like they're doing everything right, but something fundamental is missing. A piece of the puzzle that prevents the manifestation from being completed. They continue, without the slightest awareness, to project the wrong energy onto the mirror of the universe, sabotaging their own efforts. They are trapped in a paradox, without understanding the secret language that reality responds to. Their mistake is subtle but fatal to the process. They are trying to create a new reality while still being energetically tuned to the old one. They don't realize that the universe doesn't respond to our words. It responds to our vibration, to our emotional focus. And this cosmic language has a particular quirk. It is literal and cannot process one specific word we use all the time. A word that, when used in our requests, guarantees that we will receive exactly the opposite of what we want. The word the universe doesn't understand. The mirror of reality, this quantum field that responds to our projections, operates in its own language, a language of energy and vibration, not syntax. And in this universal language, there is one word it simply cannot process. The word not. The universe is a great yes. It says yes to the focus of your attention, to the energy you emit. If you pour all your feelings and thoughts into the sentence, "I don't want to be in debt anymore," the mirror completely ignores the negation. It picks up on the dominant vibration, the essence of your message, which is debt, and faithfully delivers more situations that confirm that vibration. You are unintentionally asking for more of what you swear you want to avoid. It's an act of unconscious self-sabotage. The key to turning this game around isn't fighting the darkness, it's simply turning on the light. It's not about resisting what you don't want, because everything you resist persists. True mastery lies in redirecting 100% of your energy, your focus, and your emotion toward what you want to create. It's a subtle shift in internal language, but it completely changes the result of your manifestation. Instead of lamenting and thinking, "I'm tired of always being alone and needy," reprogram your mind to affirm and feel, "I am a whole being, and I am opening myself to deep and meaningful connections that reflect this wholeness." Instead of focusing on the frustration of, "I can't stand this soul-draining job anymore," redirect your energy to the clear vision of, "I am a magnet for the perfect professional opportunity." where my talents are celebrated and my contribution is valued. Does it sound simple? It is simple, but it's not easy. It requires constant vigilance, a mental discipline to become the gatekeeper of your own mind. You need to reprogram decades of social conditioning that trained us to focus on the problem, to complain about what's wrong, to live in a reactive state. It's a daily training to shift the automatic focus from the negative to the positive, from lack to abundance, from fear to love. It's learning to speak the native language of the universe, a language of pure affirmation and deliberate creation. When you finally manage to combine these three powerful elements, the creation of a new identity, unshakable patience during the desert crossing, and a focus directed only toward what you want to create, something truly magical begins to happen. The universe, which once seemed indifferent or even hostile, starts sending you signs. Small coincidences start popping up in your life, unlikely events that seem to confirm you're on the right path. Your reality begins to bend to your new will. But these secrets, this technology of consciousness, are not a modern invention or a new age self-help trick. They are fragments of sacred knowledge, a timeless wisdom that dates back to the sands of time, as ancient as the pyramids themselves. This wisdom is intrinsically tied to a legendary figure, a master of alchemy and magic, a being so revered that he became known throughout history as the thrice great. The knowledge you're now uncovering is not a passing theory. It's an ancient wisdom that has survived the test of millennia. Its deepest roots take us to the heart of ancient Egypt, to the enigmatic figure of Thoth, the ibis-headed god. Thoth was not just a deity among many in a pantheon. He was the embodiment of divine intelligence, the scribe of the gods, the master of wisdom, writing, magic, and science. He was considered the keeper of the keys that govern the very structure of reality, the architect of cosmic order. Thoth understood that the universe was not random chaos, but a perfectly ordered system governed by immutable principles and universal laws. He knew that whoever understood these laws could move in harmony with the flow of the cosmos, ceasing to be a leaf in the wind and becoming the wind itself. His wisdom was so deep and transformative that it was reserved only for initiates in the mystery temples far from the public eye. It was a knowledge of power, capable of turning an ordinary man into a master of his own existence. When the Egyptian and Greek cultures met and merged, the reverence for Thoth's wisdom was so immense that the Greeks syncretized him with their own god, Hermes, the winged messenger, the patron of communication and knowledge. From this cultural and spiritual fusion was born a legendary figure who would transcend history. Hermes Trismegistus, meaning Hermes the thrice great. Great as a king, ruling the material world. Great as a philosopher, ruling the mental world. And great as a priest, ruling the spiritual world. To Hermes Trismegistus is attributed a vast collection of sacred texts and esoteric teachings known collectively as Hermetic wisdom. These writings are not religious dogma, but an instruction manual for the universe. A practical guide to understanding the divine and transmuting the human soul. They reveal the laws that govern all planes of existence, from the densest to the most subtle, and teach how a human being can become a conscious co-creator of their reality. At the beating heart of these ancient teachings, at the center of all Hermetic philosophy, lies the master key that opens every door of understanding. It is the secret that connects your inner world to everything that happens on the outside, the fundamental law that governs the functioning of the mirror of reality. This truth is encapsulated in a single phrase, a maxim so powerful and profound that its simplicity hides the greatest secret of creation. This phrase, which has echoed through secret societies and mystery schools for centuries, is the law that governs the mirror of reality, the fundamental principle that connects your inner world to everything that happens in the external world. It is the foundation of all magic and manifestation, the explanation for why your life is the way it is. And understanding this law is not just an intellectual exercise. It is the turning point that can change everything for you right now. The cosmic law that governs your life. The phrase that has crossed the centuries, the pillar of all Hermetic wisdom attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, is, as above, so below, as within, so without. This is not a poetic metaphor or a vague philosophical statement. This is the central revelation. It is the literal description of a fundamental and unchanging law of the universe, known as the principle of correspondence. It tells us that the macrocosm, the universe, and the microcosm, the human being, are reflections of each other, operating under the same laws. Your outer world, everything you perceive with your five senses, is a direct, precise, and relentless reflection of your inner world. You don't attract into your life what you want, you attract what you are. Your financial reality is not determined by the market, but by your consciousness of prosperity or scarcity. Your relationships are not determined by luck, but by the love or lack of it that you carry within. Your health, your career, your peace of mind, everything is a faithful mirror of your beliefs, fears, and the identity you hold deep inside. The clearest, and often most painful, evidence of this law at work is not found in your material possessions or bank account. It shows up vividly and undeniably through the people you attract into your life. Think about the person who irritates you the most, whose behavior drives you crazy. Think about the type of boss you always seem to have, or the pattern of romantic partners that keeps repeating in your relationships. They are not accidents. They are messengers. They are fragments of your own mirror, that trait you most despise in someone, whether it's arrogance, laziness, dishonesty, or victimhood, is almost certainly an aspect of yourself that you repress, deny, or fear. It is your own shadow, as psychologist Carl Jung would call it, projected onto another so that you can finally see it. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, places these human mirrors in your path, not to punish you, but to give you the opportunity to become whole, to integrate the parts of yourself you've rejected. The irritation you feel is an alarm, an invitation to look within. Likewise, the qualities you deeply admire in other people, courage, creativity, compassion, leadership, are also a reflection of your own unrealized potential. They show you what already exists inside of you as a seed, waiting to be cultivated. Every person in your life, from your greatest enemy to your biggest idol, is live and colorful feedback of your current vibrational frequency. Understanding this is deeply liberating because it lifts the weight of guilt and victimhood off your shoulders and gives you back your power. But if the external world is only a reflection, how can we practically change what's inside? How can we alter this original image that's being projected? The answer is not in willpower, which is limited and runs out, nor in complex rituals. The answer, surprisingly, lies in biology. Modern science, in its quest to understand the human brain, stumbled upon a revolutionary discovery that proves, without a shadow of a doubt, what ancient mystics and sages have known for thousands of years. For centuries, science believed that the brain was a static organ, one that developed in childhood and became a fixed and unchangeable structure after adolescence. This belief, known as localizationism, suggested we were prisoners of our biology, doomed to repeat the same thought and behavior patterns for the rest of our lives. But in recent decades, that dogma has been completely dismantled by one of the most important discoveries in the history of neuroscience: neuroplasticity. Your brain is not a fixed piece of hardware. It's living clay, constantly reshaping itself every second. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself, to create new neural connections and change existing ones in direct response to every thought you have, every emotion you feel, and every action you take. This is the irrefutable scientific proof that personal transformation is not just a theoretical possibility or a spiritual idea, it's an innate biological right. You are not doomed to be who you were yesterday. You literally have the power to build a new brain and consequently a new mind. When you engage in the art of conscious projection, adopting a new identity and acting in alignment with it, you are not just playing with positive affirmations or fooling yourself. You are, in fact, functioning as a neural engineer. By consistently repeating the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors of your new version, you are giving your brain a new blueprint to build. You are forcing groups of neurons to fire together. And the fundamental law of neuroplasticity, known as Heb's law, says that neurons that fire together wire together. Over time and with deliberate repetition, these new neural pathways that represent your new identity become stronger, faster, and more myelinated, like a trail in the forest that turns into a paved road through continuous use. At the same time, the old neural pathways of your past self, with its patterns of fear, doubt, and limitation, begin to weaken and are pruned due to lack of use. Changing your identity, therefore, is not an act of pretending. It's a biological process of rewiring the brain. You are literally training your brain to operate from a new baseline reality, a new operating system. Eventually, what once required conscious effort becomes your new default state, your new autopilot. You are no longer trying to be confident, you simply are confidence. You're no longer trying to be abundant, you operate from a state of abundance. The mirror of reality, which faithfully reflects your inner state, has no choice but to follow this deep biological shift and begin to show you a world that matches your new wiring. Luck or synchronicity, the universe begins to respond. When you align your inner projection, your patience, your focused attention, and your very neural biology, something extraordinary and almost magical begins to happen in your life. The universe, which once seemed like an indifferent spectator, starts to wink at you, communicating in a language of meaningful events. You think of a friend you haven't seen in years, and that same day they call you. You desperately need a specific piece of information, and a book falls off the shelf opened exactly to the page with the answer. An opportunity that seems tailor-made for you appears out of nowhere. Most people, conditioned by a purely materialistic and causal worldview, dismiss these events as mere luck, randomness, or coincidence. But the masters of the mirror, as well as deep psychologists, know that something much more significant is happening. They call it synchronicity, a term popularized by Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. Synchronicity describes the occurrence of events that are meaningfully related but have no apparent causal connection. They are a principle of a causal connection. It's not about the universe moving chess pieces around to favor you. It's something much more elegant. By changing who you are on the inside, by rewiring your brain and sustaining a new identity, you fundamentally change your energetic signature, your vibrational frequency. Imagine that you're a radio. If you were tuned to station 99.9 FM, the station of scarcity and struggle, you could only hear the songs and news of that frequency. When you change your identity, you tune in to a new station, 107.7 FM, the station of abundance and flow, and begin to receive a completely different reality. These synchronistic events are not the final reward. They are system feedback. They are the mirror of reality, confirming that your new projection has been received, decoded, and is starting to be reflected back to you. Every synchronicity, no matter how small, is an invitation to deepen your belief in your new identity. It's the universe giving you a pat on the back and saying, yes, keep going. It's working. You're on the right path. Believe even more. It's proof that you are becoming the cause and no longer the effect. The mistake many people make when they experience their first synchronicities is to see them as the final destination, as the arrival of the harvest. They get excited by the small sign and relax, slipping back into old patterns of thought and feeling, and the flow stops. In truth, these events are just the first drops of rain announcing the storm of abundance forming on the horizon. They are the incentive to maintain your focus and discipline, to continue being the person you chose to become, with even greater conviction. We've reached the end of this journey of knowledge, but in truth, this is the real beginning of yours. You've traveled from the dry plains of ancient Egypt, where the wisdom of Thoth was carved in stone and whispered in mystery temples, to the frontiers of modern neuroscience, which maps the brain circuits. You've uncovered the secrets of the masters, understood the cosmic law of correspondence, and seen how your brain's very biology is ready, like fresh clay, to obey your command. The power to create realities which once seemed like a gift of gods and mystics has always been inside you. You've always been the artist in front of the blank canvas, the director of the movie of your life, the architect of your destiny. The illusion was believing that you were just a supporting actor in a script written by someone else. The mirror of reality is in front of you now, clearer and sharper than ever. It has no preferences. It doesn't judge. It has no agenda of its own. It is a perfectly neutral and obedient servant whose only function is to reflect with surgical precision the image you choose to project from your state of being. To continue projecting the image of your past, of your limitations, your wounds, and your excuses is a choice. It's the conscious or unconscious choice to remain a victim of circumstances, chained to the reverse cycle of creation, doomed to relive the same day with the same frustrations for the rest of your life. It's choosing to be the hamster on the wheel, running endlessly, exhausted and deluded, believing that one day, magically, the scenery will change. But it won't. Not as long as you keep projecting the same image. Or you can make a different choice. You can choose, right now, in this sacred moment, to take your power back and deliberately project the image of your highest version. The version of you that is brave, abundant, loved, healthy, and free. The version of you that doesn't ask for permission to exist and doesn't wait for reality to change in order to feel whole. If you made it this far, leave in the comments, "I change the image," and the mirror obeys. That way, I'll know you followed this message all the way to the end. And if you want to support the channel more directly, I left a link in the first pinned comment so you can contribute and help me spread more content like this out there. Any help, no matter how small, means a lot to me and to the growth of the channel. But know this, the fact that you stayed with me until now already helps more than you know. You can also share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. And before you go, I've picked a special video for you to click on right now. I'll see you there.